What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. This is a video I put some time and effort into just for y'all. All right. Gun review, Palmetto State Armory or the PSA Dagger full review, 500 round review at that. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons about the gun. Let's talk about what kinds of ammo I ran through it. Let's get into it. All right. So first off, for starters, I did not run this 33 round stick mag in here. There was no particular reason why. I know it would run. It's a Glock mag. However, I just chose to use the standard 17 round mag. All right. Standard 17 round Glock mag. All 500 rounds I used Glock mags for. All right. That is it. No PSA mags, no nothing. All right. Now I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons about the gun. We're going to start with the capacity, of course. 17 plus 1 in the chamber, that's a pretty good capacity. You can, of course, as you can see here, get 33 round stick mags for it. That's very useful, all right? And for those of y'all who are wondering, oh yeah, what is the PSA Dagger? What exactly is it? It is a Glock clone. Not too long ago, I believe it was 2021. I might be mistaken on the year. I could be 100% mistaken. And if I am, please correct me. I believe it was around 2020, 2021, maybe even 2019, that Glock lost their patent for their Gen 3 products, which means that other companies were allowed to make clones using the same patents following that shit for a much cheaper price. All right. And that's exactly what this is right here. And when I tell you this is a Glock clone, I mean that you can use Glock parts on it other than just Glock mags. Now, if I wanted to sit here and throw a Glock 19 barrel on here, it'll fit and run perfectly. If I wanted to replace the mag release button with a Glock mag release button, it'll run perfectly. It is interchangeable with Glock parts as it is designed after a Gen 3 product. Now, before I go any further into this video, I do want to say, and I'm going to point this out right now because a lot of this video is going to seem like I'm really hyping up this gun. As I'm sure you guys can imagine with my subscriber count, I'm not being paid by PSA to do this. Now, have I spoken with people at PSA several times before? Yeah, they're pretty good people, you know what I mean? But I'm going to get into that in a whole nother video. That's not really, something for me to fully get into here, as it wouldn't fully go with the video. All right, so 500 rounds through this right here. Now, for reference, I cleaned her literally like right before I started this video because she was dirty as hell. Like literally all this shit was black down here. Let me see here. Every single bit of it damn near was dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Now, I shot it at 25 yards, which obviously is a, pretty good distance for a handgun. Was there any particular reason to that? I mean, sure, you can say, I wanted to see how accurate it was. You can say whatever you want to. Truth of the matter is that I wanted to be in a lane where I could shoot my AR and my handgun. So, but it did a pretty good job at 25 yards. It was fairly accurate. I was able to hit some shots right on the bullseyes, very surprisingly. Will say it wasn't too many, all right, but I was able to hit it. So it's not impossible. It is a fairly accurate gun. That's something that should be noted. Now it comes with, I believe they're called suppressor height. I mean, I don't know. Some people are going to call them suppressor height sights. These are sights that, are tall enough for you to run an optic through, have a red dot on it, and it essentially co-witness. So if your dot is ever down, you still have irons. They're blackout. There's nothing too special about them. So that's something to be aware of. Now, here's what I will say. If you guys saw the first looks video I did, this isn't a normal PSA Dagger. This is a full-size S. So what this essentially means is that 17 frame, 19 slide. It's essentially Glock 45. Now, the trigger on this thing, I will say, it's kind of difficult to explain the trigger. I like the trigger more than a Glock trigger. However, it feels a bit more spongy to me. And that's something I've noticed. Now, it is a much lighter trigger. I can definitely see the reason why some people are like, oh yeah, I love this more than a Glock. I can see that. However, this may just be me. It does feel a bit spongy. Now, is that to say that it is not a great trigger? No, it is a pretty damn good trigger, especially for a Glock clone. All right, so let's get that out the way. What type of ammo I ran through here? I ran Blazer, all brass case ammo. I ran Blazer. I ran, was it Fiocchi or was it Magtech? It was either Fiocchi or Magtech. I think it was Fiocchi. All 115 grain. The main reason why I chose that is because, you know, if your gun's not going to run with the lighter loaded 115 grain, I can't truly say it's reliable because you don't know if that's, you know, if that's all you're going to be able to come into in a shit hits the fan situation. But ran it through, no malfunctions at all. If you guys want to see a, you know, a little short of me shooting it, you can see a quick video of me shooting a mag out on shorts. Go ahead and check it out. But this thing shoots really well. The trigger reset on it is pretty good. Here, I'll go ahead and show y'all real quick. Want to make sure the chamber is clear. There it is. So it has a pretty great trigger, pretty good reset to it. It's a pretty damn good gun overall. I will say this. I am fairly impressed with how it functioned. Now, what I do say, I had one issue with it. Actually, I had a couple of issues. They're not necessarily malfunctions, but I'm going to go ahead and start on it. So while shooting, I noticed that there was just the tiniest bit of a little hang up on the slide. All right. I had the slide locked back. You know, didn't have a mag in there. Went to put a mag in there to load the round. Dropped the slide stop lever, and it just took an extra second for it to go down. Now that is something I noticed. It only happened one time, once out of 500 rounds. So that is you know, definitely. I'm not gonna lie. That might just not have anything to do with the gun as a whole. You know, there's a possibility that might have been a user-induced malfunction. Who knows? But in all reality, it just hung up a tiny bit and went into battery. You know what I mean? For less than a second. So it works fairly well. One thing I am not a fan of with the Dagger, and if you've ever held a Dagger and, you know, at least used one, you'll notice this. It is the mag release button. All right. Now, it has nothing to do with the size of it. I've gotten used to the Gen 3 mag release buttons, but you do need to apply a bit more pressure, and you do need to let go of your firing grip a bit more to release the mag than you would with a standard Glock mag. Now, I'm aware that most times you're not going to be able to keep a full firm firing grip when you have to reload. However, you also don't want it to be more difficult than it has to. So let's get that out the way. Of course, I am going to run this gun through all 4 self-defense situations, so don't think I'm not going to do that. However, I do want to give, you know, a quick overview on how things went with me shooting this. It is a very fun to shoot gun. I had a great time shooting it personally. It's been very reliable. I actually also, you know what, I'm mistaken. I ran a couple of rounds of Hornady Critical Defense 124 grain as well. So I did run a couple of rounds of hollow points, nothing super special. You know, just a couple I had laying around. Was like, yeah, throw it in there. It's my defensive ammo anyways. 0 malfunctions, 500 rounds. I am fairly impressed. Definitely was a good bit dirty afterwards. Had to clean her up for y'all. But she shoots fairly well, fairly reliable, good capacity. The fact that it's a Glock clone only makes it better because with this one, you can interchange it with actual Glock parts if you chose to. So that's all pretty fucking good. Now, we're going to go ahead and run this through. Actually, wait, hold on. You know what? There is one more con. I'm sorry. There is one more, you know, problem I had. And actually, in order for me to show y'all, I'm going to have to field strip it. So, let me see here. Sometimes I get a little hung up on it. But another thing I'm not a big fan of is sometimes when you field strip it, it gets caught up on here like this. And then you have to get it back in there. There we are. Sometimes. But the trigger bar, right? You guys, you know, let me go ahead and bring it a bit closer here. If you guys see that little dot right here on the top of the trigger bar, all right, it will be a bit more protruded out when you first buy it. When I first bought this frame, I would throw a Glock 19 slide on it. And while it worked, I guess, the trigger didn't always reset. Now, if you're wondering how that's, you know, how I figured that out, well, I figured that out when I started shooting it, right? Actually, no, not even beforehand, because I wanted to dry fire with it because I liked the trigger. All right. I would sit there, dry fire, right? And, just like how I'm going to let go of it and it's going to reset and I'm going to pull it again, it would do the exact opposite. It would stay still. It would not reset at all. And when I did take it to shoot, I thought, you know what? Maybe just the force of the round, racking it back hard enough, maybe that'll, fix it, make it to where it's resetting each and every round. It did not in any way, shape, or form. I contacted PSA about this, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail about, what this conversation told me about them as a business in another video. Nothing super bad or anything along those lines, but when I did talk to them, they informed me that their pistol expert said that this is a problem they do run across a good bit. Now, is it a easily fixable problem? Yes. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you can send it back to them if you want to. Send it back to them, have them fix it, and then they can send it back to you and your shit will work. Or two, if you wanted to do what I had to do, I took a little Dremel and basically all he said is that what fixes the problem 99% of the time is essentially grinding or filing that little nub on the vertical trigger bar flush. And, essentially took a little Dremel kit, was able to grind it down to where it's flush. And it has worked perfectly since then. So while, yes, that is a pain in the ass, that was 100% a pain in the ass. And for some of y'all who, need a gun immediately, you're like, hey, I need a gun, I need a good gun, and I need one for cheap. That, is something you have to look out for. All right. So it is always good to check to make sure everything is working. Now, this isn't to say that the gun itself is bad. However, this more so goes down to their quality control at PSA. However, as I said, that's all going to be in another video I'm going to do strictly about PSA as a company. Now, we're going to start with home defense. All right. Something I do want to point out actually before I get into this, because, I mentioned a good cheap gun. For reference, that way you guys can understand, I believe the slide was $200, maybe $220 at most. The frame was $70. So about $300 total, maybe a little less. Actually, including shipping and taxes, it's definitely going to be a tiny bit more than $300. But around $300, I got a Glock clone that not only has been reliable through several different types of ammo, but 500 rounds of it. And guys, I'm going to point this out. This, I understand I took a while to make this video and y'all were probably waiting for it. I shot all 500 of those rounds within the last 24 hours, guys. All right. I put this gun through the ringer so that way I can have a legitimately good review for y'all. All right. Now, finally, we're going to be able to move on to home defense. Home defense, I give this gun damn near actually, you know what? I'll give it a solid 8.5. And I know I normally don't start with the numbers up first, but I'm going to go ahead and do it this time. Here's why. All right. One, it is a good size. It is a good size to shoot. It is a good size to shoot comfortably. If I'm not mistaken, the barrel length, I could be wrong on this. It's anywhere from 3.5 to 4 inches. I could be 100% wrong on that number though. I'll be honest, that's something I should have checked up before I started doing the interview. However, it wasn't the biggest deal to me. Glock 19 barrel length is how long the barrel is. Back to what I was saying. 9mm, a good round. You get a great capacity out of it. A round that will definitely be able to do the job. And since it takes Glock parts, including Glock mags, what do you have right here? A 33-round stick mag that would definitely be useful in a home defense situation. Now, on top of that, it does come with a rail, so you can attach a light or a laser to it, or even a light laser combo like I have on my Glock 23. On top of this, it is ready for a red dot. So as long as you have a, as long as you have a dot that essentially follows along the same plate pattern as this, I believe it's the standard RMR, then you can have a dot on here. All right. And all of that for a really cheap price, I might add, is pretty damn good in my opinion. As I said before, it is very reliable, so I wouldn't have really any concerns about malfunctioning. I will say these haven't been out super long. All right, these do not have the track records that Glocks have because it's not a Glock, it's a Glock clone. You see what I mean? Like when you go to the store and your parents are like, hey, what kind of cereal do you want? Oh, I want Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Oh, okay, we're going to give you Cinnamon Toaster Squares. What? Yeah, it's a store brand version. We're not getting the name brand. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm sure, it'll probably do the fucking job of feeding me and tasting the same. But you know what? It's not the same. It's not. I'm going to be the person to say it. It's not the same. All right. But for home defense, it will definitely do the job. Of course, if you wanted to, I know some people, they need to have a suppressor on their home defense pistol. If you wanted to, you could always get a threaded barrel for this, have a suppressor on here. However, it is a Glock clone. I will say Glocks tend to choke on suppressors. I don't know how that's, necessarily translated over to the Dagger here, as it isn't a Glock, but a Glock clone. But it is something that you are capable of doing. All right. So for home defense, as I said before, I give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. The trigger is pretty damn good on here too. A lot of people, when they get a home defense gun, they get something like a revolver or some gun with a heavy ass trigger, and you end up missing a good few shots. That's something that you probably won't have to worry about too much here with the Dagger. So that's always a plus. Now we're going to move over to concealed carry. Concealed carry, I actually also give it a 8.5 out of 10. And I'm going to go into why. So beyond the fact that it has a good standard mag capacity of 17 plus 1, let's say you wanted to sit there, carry a backup mag on you, whether it's a normal standard 17 round mag, or if you're able to, big honcho it, carry a goddamn stick with you unnoticed. Who knows? I don't know how y'all live your lives, but we're looking at anywhere from 35 to 50 rounds, or excuse me, 51 rounds. You see what I mean here? Like, that's a pretty damn good capacity between two magazines for your one gun. Now, the size is where some people may argue it is not great for concealed carry. And hey, I'm not disagreeing there. This isn't exactly, a fucking Hellcat Pro or a G2C or anything along those lines. It is definitely a good bit bigger. However, there are ways to work around that, of course. Now, me, for example, with how weather has been recently, I've been having to wear a jacket a lot at my job. Could I carry this wearing my jacket and it be unnoticed? 100%. No doubt about it. Am I going to? Who knows? I haven't decided personally. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get as many rounds as I could through this gun, is because I'm like, hey, I want to be able to take it seriously as a self-defense weapon. I need to put it through the ringer. You know what I mean? Concealed carry, it would do a pretty damn good job considering the fact that it is very easy to shoot. Something I haven't mentioned as well, it feels so damn good to hold this gun. A lot of guns, they have, they have a lot of handguns, a lot of semi-auto pistols, they have a sandpapery texture to the grip on the frame, and this one does not. It is a very smooth, easy to hold gun. It feels good when you hold it. Let me see here. I mean, shit. Ready for this? All right in there. Everything feels perfect. You see what I mean? And there's a certain level to where I did not think it was going to. All right, I'll be honest, before I got the frame, because I got the frame before I got the slide, I thought, you know what, it's probably just going to, feel similar to a Glock frame. I will say I definitely like the feel of holding a Dagger frame more than a Glock frame personally. Now, are there certain things I would change about it that would be more Glock-esque? Sure, but I'm not the one who designed these guns. It's not my job to make that decision. Back to concealed carry situations. So, while it is a bit less concealable, the capacity you get is damn near unmatched. I'm sorry, but that's the truth here. It's damn near unmatched. With how reliable the gun is, too, you're not really going to have to worry about malfunctions happening to you too much. Now, something that it actually goes along the lines of concealed carry, too. I mentioned before how, this gun right here, it can take Glock parts, right? Something that a lot of people have tried pointing out to me is, oh, well, it doesn't take a Glock holster. You can't, it doesn't fit in the Glock holster. Y'all are fucking wrong. I don't know what else to tell you. I personally have carried this in my Glock 19 holster before. It's entirely covered. It fits beautifully. It is snug as a bug in a rug. You feel me? It is all good. The trigger guard is completely covered. I have even tested trying to just get a dollar bill through there, and it wasn't going to happen. So you can definitely use Glock holsters for the dagger. Don't let people tell you that you can't. Now, I know there is a micro dagger, and I'm sure, I know PSA has varying different, slides for their daggers and all this other shit that would make some level of difference, you would assume. But I can say for the type of slide I got on here, which is pretty standard, I believe for some reason, I believe they called it a extreme carry cut or a doctor cut. It was one of the two. I can't remember. They had so many different types of fucking cuts for their slides. It was absolutely ridiculous. And if you know me, I'm not a big fan of slide cuts anyways. So I literally sat there and found the one that has 0 cuts on it. You see what I mean here? There are no cuts in any way, shape, or form other than for the plate for the red dot. So it would do a great job, though, for concealed carry. All right, I know I got a bit off topic there, but it would do a great job for concealed carry. Now, I'm sure some people, it'd be easier for them to carry than others. I probably wouldn't recommend, some little 5 foot even girl carrying this, as it's probably going to be, harder for them to conceal that. However, it's not impossible to conceal, and it's not a bad option for concealed carry either. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to Shit Hits the Fan, or SHTF. Now, this is going to be kind of a, it's funny to me. All right, it's a little funny. All right, I give this gun the same score I give any double stack 9mm Glock when it comes to Shit Hits the Fan. And here's why I say that: mags aplenty, holsters aplenty, ammo aplenty, parts aplenty. All right, everything you can need for this gun to keep it running during a Shit Hits the Fan situation, there's plenty of. Plenty. All right, you most likely will never run out, and if you do, you will be able to find some, as it won't be the most uncommon thing ever. And the only reason why that works is because of the fact that you can put Glock parts in the dagger. That is simply it. All right, just because it is a Glock clone that takes Glock parts beyond just the magazines is why it is a good gun to have for Shit Hits the Fan. All right. Now, moving on from there, all right, and I don't think I actually gave it a number on that. I should. I'm going to give it a solid 9, all right, because double stack 9mm Glocks, they pretty much are your go-to pistol when it comes to a Shit Hits the Fan situation. And if this can take all the parts that a Glock can take, essentially, you're working on the same playing field here, especially if all of these daggers are going to show the level of reliability that I have seen in mine. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to animal defense. All right. Now, I'd like to point this out, guys, because a lot of y'all seem to, say some wild shit. You know what I mean? I've heard a lot of people say some crazy shit. Oh yeah, like I know somebody who said, I know somebody who shot an alligator with a 9mm a couple times because the alligator kept trying to creep up on them. And yeah, it stopped the alligator, but it didn't kill the alligator. It didn't like stop it in its tracks. It just made it be like, oh shit, and ran away. You know what I mean? So we are working with 9mm, guys. We're not working with some big bore caliber here that's made to stop some extremely large animal or some big game. Nothing like that. All right, we're not working, bless you, we're not working with 44 Magnum or anything along those lines. All right, we're working with 9mm here, 9x19, 9mm Parabellum. All right, so with that being said, let's get right into it. For small animals, of course, it's definitely going to do the job. There's no doubt about it. However, really small animals, you also have your hands. There are situations where some smaller animals you really can't get, you can't use just your hands for. However, that's not what we're going to keep trying to, harp on. Medium-sized animals, we're referring to larger dogs, wolves even, coyotes. And I'm sure some of y'all are probably going to comment under there, it's pronounced coyote. Fuck off. But, as I was saying, medium-sized animals, it'll do a good job for. And we're looking beyond a capacity, aspect at this point, because while capacity is a, great thing in a situation for animal defense, I've come to the realization that I'd rather be able to stop them with the first round and not take the risk of having to put more down there. If I have to, sure. You know what I mean? That's not a problem. But I would also rather my first round be the one to do the job in an animal defense situation. Against a bear, large animals, anything along those lines, even, I heard, as I said, I know somebody who literally says they shot an alligator with a 9mm and it stopped them, but who knows? All right, I'll be honest, I don't fully want, beyond the fact that I don't 100% trust that, I don't 100% trust that would work for anybody. So, Larger animals, we're talking, gators, bears, things along these lines that you might run into. I mean, at least I might run into them in Florida. Uh, Definitely not a great gun to defend yourself from them. Is it better than nothing? Yes, it is 100% better than nothing. There is no, debating whether, I'd rather, like, if I had to choose between having just this or a knife to defend myself against an animal, I'm going to obviously choose the dagger here. But against larger animals, it probably is not going to do the job needed. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give, animal defense, because I had to think that one a bit more through. I had to give it a good bit more thought here. I'm going to give it a solid 7. Because as I said, while it can do the job for medium-sized animals, even smaller animals, it's not going to do much for any form of larger animals that are really trying to attack you here. It may deter them. It may, you know what I mean? May is the key word here. I'm not saying it won't. I'm saying it may deter them. It may make them be like, fuck this, who knows? But it's definitely not going to be your best option here. So with that being said, the PSA Dagger right now has a pretty damn good score here. We're looking at 26 plus 7, that's 33. We are, shit, what's that break down to? 4. We're looking at like an 8 point something here. I don't want to, hell, we could say 8.25. I don't know. You know what I mean? We're looking around an average here. But it's a bit more than 8. I know that part. I'm just not going to sit here and do all the math, as I am tired. So with that being said, what are my final opinions on this gun? And honestly, a question that I haven't brought up yet that I should, because I put it in the title of the video and in the thumbnail. Is this the best Glock clone ever? Probably not. Probably not. Can I say best for its low price point? 100%. Yes. It is a great gun. It is a reliable gun. I mean, 500 rounds later, I understand, with some of the reviews I used to do, I used to say, oh yeah, well, I've had a couple hundred rounds put through this, it's definitely reliable. I sat there and thought about it and was like, you know what? A couple hundred rounds aren't worth my life. Neither should it be worth y'all's. So that's why I just decided, 500, up it up a bit more. 500 rounds later, it has entirely been reliable. I've taken it apart, cleaned it, see if there's any damage to the actual parts themselves, like the barrel, the recoil spring, the guide rod, any part of the slide. And there hasn't been, which means it's, fairly well built. Let me see here. I'm trying to really think if there's anything else I can tell y'all that, is really a bad thing about this gun, but it's a pretty damn good gun, especially for the price it is. It is a Glock clone, all right? So remember, you can expect, close to a level of Glock capabilities here. Now, remember that close to a level. It is still a clone, all right? But for my overall thoughts, it is definitely a great gun. It is definitely a good cheap gun if you're looking for a cheap gun. If you're looking to get your first gun, you don't want to, break the bank. This might be a real good option for you, considering you have all the compatibility of the aftermarket parts for Glocks, while it's still not being a Glock, so you're not having to spend $600 for a brand new one. With that being said, y'all make sure to check out all my other videos. I think I wrapped it up for this, this video. I don't want to sit here, and, dick around with y'all and go in circles. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, you think the Dagger is a pretty damn good gun, especially for the price it is, go and check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.